Welcome all to the Reef Podcast 2023. I'm your host, LuisIpa, bringing you all an exciting episode here with the one and only Mr. Barry Leitch.
Hello, hello.
Hello, good sir. Good to see you here.
Yeah, you too. It's been a while.
It has been a while. The last time we talked, we were actually on Horizon Chase Turbo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 7 years ago now. Well, it wasn't 7 years ago.
Absolutely. We already have people coming in and everything, saying hi, waving at you, all excited that this time we actually have cameras involved in the Reef Podcast. So it's actually insane, that we incorporated this. I want to take the time to thank our sponsors, W Energy. Thank you for sponsoring the Reef Podcast. You guys are awesome for sponsoring us. So without further ado, Barry, would you like to do an introduction about yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure. My name is Barry Leitch. I'm a composer. I've written music for video games since 1986, a long time ago, and write music for a lot of kids' toys and stuff. I keep busy.
That
That kind
sounds
of stuff.
that sounds awesome, man. You worked in a lot of games in the past, if I'm not mistaken, like League of Legends, Rush. You worked on, of course, the famous Top Gear. Man, what made you it's just amazing, to know somebody that that you actually cherish, because I mean back then Super Nintendo wasn't, I mean, yeah, it was popular and everything, but I mean it's just that not many people knew about Top Gear in the US until it actually started getting popular in Brazil, it started getting popular in Europe. How was it? How was the experience making music for a top game like that?
Well, this is all pre-internet days. You're very isolated. It wasn't like now where you have access to everything and everybody. The
And
only feedback we got was through video game magazines. It's like, magazine said it was good. There you go. Did a good job. That was about all the feedback you got.
absolutely. I mean, the Nintendo magazines were something else. I mean, now everybody has their computers, they have browsers, so they you can find anything anywhere now. So basically, when I was actually playing Top Gear on Wednesday. If you had to choose out of the four cars that they had there, which one you think actually suits you the most? Which one is okay, this is the Barry Leitch car that I would always use.
I'd take the white one because it's fastest, right?
Well, from what I saw, in the four cars when I was playing, is that the white one was actually the one that actually consumed the lowest fuel, which is actually
Yes.
the smartest way to go, because that game traps you so many ways. Because I mean, you may be at first you may be first place, and then after a few seconds, the computer that's below you literally just catches up to you in a matter of seconds. I'm like, how in the world do they do this? How do they make it so fast? And then the music actually picks up so much, and all the tracks that when at certain moments of the song, it literally hits you so fast that you're okay, that guy literally passed me up in the second lap already. So tell us, what was the meaning behind the music, what made you get into composing music for games?
Um, I don't know, composing music for games. I wanted to. I was too lazy to learn how to play piano, and so I was fascinated by having technology do all the work for you. So being able to program a computer and have it play back a piece of music flawlessly was fantastic, as compared to trying to play it on a piano, which, if you're not very good, it's gonna, like me, it'll be a 50-50 chance if you'll hit the right note. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
that's
also,
what got me into it. I mean, it wasn't like I wrote the Top Gear stuff very specifically. I mean, it was such a quick job. It was literally 5 days work. It was boom, get it done, get onto the next game. They didn't give it a whole lot of thought. Just playing
man,
some French tunes.
that's insane. And also, if when I did some research about you and everything, we saw that you visited a lot of countries where a lot of people knew you because the music that you make for so many different games. Which out of the all the countries that you've been to, which one had to be like, you know, the one that you're like, okay, I want to go back almost every time?
I don't know. I think every country's like that. You know, I want to go back to Brazil again. I want to go back to Peru. I want to go to Norway again. Like to see some more Sweden, Germany, you know, places like that. It's I don't know. I've been very fortunate to get to go to some of these events and these places.
And the fact that it's still popular till this day, it's insane. I mean, in case you guys don't know, Mr. Barry here actually, like, you know, has made music for Horizon Chase Turbo, which is a retro arcade. I believe it's like a game for the community that love Top Gear, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, love letter to Top Gear, which is, you know, it's nice. It's really good. It really surprised me how good it was actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, I saw it on console. It was a free PlayStation Plus game. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'll pick it up. It's a racing game and everything. But as soon as I started hearing the tracks of the game, I was like, okay, this sounds kind of familiar. And then when you hit that track that has the Easter egg song, that's when I really went, oh my god, like this is literally a reimagine of Top Gear, which is incredible. Like I was literally mind blown by everything that happened. I was like, wow, this game is fascinating, and they're still adding things. Since I played Horizon Chase Turbo, I decided to get the app version as well, just because you have a new one that came out last year, I believe, for Apple Arcade. So I figured, like, you know, hey, why not pick up the original one? And I saw that they still have some content that's not on console yet for Horizon Chase Turbo.
Yeah, there's the secret proposal. That's how I proposed to my wife, was in the mobile version.
Mm-hmm.
We sent a film crew to see it, to film her seeing it for the first time in Scotland. It's on my YouTube channel.
That's awesome. And if you want, you can share your YouTube channel with our community. You can tell them like the name that they can find you at, so that way you can see, like, they can actually see. Barry has so many different, like, you know, different tracks that he posted on his YouTube. He has so many. I did saw the wedding proposal. I gotta say that was actually very sweet of you to do something like that. Like, that was incredible what you did.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah,
it was fun. I mean, I told the guys at Aquarius, I was like, look, I want to propose to my girlfriend, and quite often when we're making video games, we'd put stupid stuff on billboards at the side of the tracks. You know, because they would shoot past you at 100 miles an hour. You'd never read what was on it. And sometimes, you know, we'd put things like, you know, Barry Leitch Audio Studios, or stupid stuff, you know.
but it's the small little things that you have to find on video games itself, like little Easter eggs that you're like, okay, what, like, you know, how do those people find those? It's insane. Because, I mean, like you said, I mean, going so fast, and so in that game, you can barely see them unless you're actually going like, what, 10, 50 miles per hour, or like, you know, 50 kilometers or something. Like, I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, it's insane.
So you'd never see them. So, and I said to them, I said, look, is there any chance you could put something on one of the billboards for me? Just something simple like that. He's like, no, we can do something better. And so we came up with the thing with drawing a love heart on the first track.
That was just adorable. I was like, man, I can't believe that. Like, you know, that's incredible. And then, of course, it showed, like, you know, the old school car on Horizon Chase Turbo, which I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a muscle vintage car, correct?
I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but basically, like, you know, it used to be like a retro muscle car, and I was like, oh, look at this. And then it showed, like, you know, going into the sunset and everything. I was like, that's incredible. That's awesome. So I know Horizon Chase 2 just came out last year on Apple Arcade, and is it out on Google app yet, or not yet?
No, it's still Google Apple exclusive.
Okay.
For, I don't know, I have no idea how long it's exclusive for. They say it'll be out on the other platforms this year, so.
Which I'm actually excited for. I mean, I'm still gonna pick it up regardless, just because, I mean, I have, as you can see here on my phone,
Nice.
I got the wallpaper of Horizon Chase 2 because I've been playing it religiously, and I'm excited to continue playing the Japan area that just came out.
Matching CD for that. CD soundtrack. I've got a few of those left.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get myself a hand on one of those, and we can go to your website, correct, and get ourselves like a hand on one of those.
Actually, that one's through Bandcamp. It's easier just to sell it on Bandcamp than it was
Okay,
the
sounds good.
website.
Man,
There's
that
link. There's links on BarryLeitch.com.
awesome, awesome. Just you heard it here, guys. BarryLeitch.com. If you want to get like a couple of things like merch and different things for Barry. Man, so amazing that you're still doing music till this day, though, man. I mean, it's incredible. So I was gonna ask, Horizon Chase Tour. Is it gonna be? You think it's gonna be Horizon Chase Turbo 2, or you think they're probably gonna change the name to something different for Horizon Chase 2 for
I
consoles?
think it would make sense to me to call it Horizon Chase Turbo 2, but that's just my speculation. I have no idea. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Don't tell me
well,
anything. A big mouth.
well, that we don't want to actually spoilers or anything like that. But do you have an idea on when the release date could possibly be for Horizon Chase Turbo 2?
Honestly, no idea. I
Okay.
mean, if I was a gambling man, I would probably bet about a year after the first one, but I don't know. Could happen anytime. Could be tomorrow. I
Yeah.
don't know.
They could release it today.
Yeah.
They could just be like, okay, console version available now. Oh man.
Insane.
Absolutely. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and answer a couple of questions that already came up real quick before they actually expire from here.
I just
So
noticed there's a whole bunch of text there. I was like, shit, I should read that.
all right. So Anima 316 here says, "Do you have plans to compose a soundtrack for another new game?"
Um, yeah, there's a few things going on. There's a game called Blow It Up that I need to do some tunes for. Um, there's always little bits and pieces going on. I don't. I'm doing a CD track for Encore 500, which is old Amiga game remixes. I'm sure there'll be another game at some point in the near future. I don't have any great plans at the moment. It's mostly just getting my toy work done and see what comes up this year.
Okay.
After last year, the last couple of years have been mental with doing Horizon Chase 2 and then the whole chip crisis thing. I was working 2, 3, 4 jobs at times, so it was just
Sheesh.
nice to have some quiet time.
Yeah, some quiet relaxation time. Now that the project is done, you're like, okay, now Barry Leitch needs to go into rest mode for a while before they call him again. But okay, so Ibaru asks, racing games need a good, catchy OST to be enjoyable because we're gonna play the game for a while. Where do you find inspiration to compose tunes for tracks and menus?
Anywhere, inspiration can come from anywhere. The real question is do people prefer? Okay, so Top Gear, the music was very short, repetitive, and stuff. And when I did Horizon Chase, I tried to come at it and add more layers. So there was really a lot of stuff going on, probably too much going on. It could be argued, but it'd be interesting to know if people liked it. Because there was so many things playing at any one time. There's a melody, a counter melody, an arpeggio and stuff. Your ear could follow different things while you're listening to. You could listen to the tracks 10, 20, 100 times, and hopefully you would follow. You could follow something different each time if you wanted to. That was my goal anyway. I was trying to be clever and creative. I don't know if people thought that. That'd be a good question for your audience to the answer.
All right, and Buddy Van Greens here has a question that says, what program was used to create the music back in the 80s and 90s?
Usually just a tracker, whatever tracker, because the trackers first came around on the Commodore Amiga. Prior to that, it was just Commodore 64 and Electro Sound. There wasn't much available in the way of commercial packages. Yeah, trackers basically is what I wrote it in, and then for like Top Gear, I put it in a tracker and then I converted it into text by hand and into data statements. I'm sure you've seen the Top Gear source code kicking around. You can look through the music data statements in there.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed about Horizon Chase, Top Gear, like the games that you worked on, like the racing games you worked on, is that it picks up like at certain parts of the track. Like if you're actually going up the hill or something like that, it picks up the sound for it, and then when you're going down, it actually drops down like at the same time, which Like that, I actually always found incredible how you timed it, like you basically like the music timed perfectly with the game. You know,
It's a happy accident.
is that
You'll see. You'll see some of the for Horizon Chase 2. There's actually there's one very specific place where the music becomes integral with the track. You'll see it. You'll know it when you see it and hear it in the game.
Absolutely. So I know you worked in a Horizon Chase 2 and everything. I know that somebody asked a question about like, you know, how you're gonna have any future projects and everything like that. Do you find yourself more comfortable doing like, you know, tracks for racing games, or more like RPG things like that? Like which ones, like the ones that Barry actually is like, okay, I can do this really like the back of my head, like, you know, easily.
You know, whenever you have to do a lot of anything the same, it's difficult. You know, it's like even Horizon Chase 2. They're like, we need 20, 25 more racing tunes. You know, like all racing music. 20. It's a lot to do to produce that many tracks, all in exactly the same style, the same kind of tempo, BPM, characteristics, instrument bank. You're like, oh, I've got to differentiate these somehow. It's a hard job, but it's the same with anything. If it's an RPG game or a platform game, it can get old real fast.
I know you mentioned that you went to Peru before and everything. You were in the capital, or where were you?
I went to Lima, and we were at the Mass Gamers event in Lima for several days, and then we got to do some touristy stuff. We took an extra week, and we went up to Machu Picchu and stuff. And
I bet that
horribly sick. I got food poisoning. So when I see all these tourist pictures of Peru, it's like Machu Picchu. Yeah, I had to use the restroom there, and we went to the salt thing. I have to use the restroom there. And it just became a list of famous restrooms that I used.
Oh boy. Oh man. So but I mean, overall, like the scenery of Machu Picchu, I bet it was gorgeous to see. I mean,
Incredible, absolutely incredible.
Absolutely.
I like Peru a lot. It was very much kind of like the Wild West. There was a little lawlessness to the place, which felt kind of nice and refreshing. It was exciting. And there wasn't that constant fear of it. In Brazil, you always have that fear that you're about to get mugged at any moment. But Peru was kind of nice because the cartels have such a strong control that nobody fucks around, because you don't want to get shot by the cartel. It's like, okay, we got a different police force, a different way of doing things, and it was nice. I like that.
So if you had to pick a dish from Peru that you liked, I mean, which one? I mean, you probably tried a few different dishes there, but which one do you find the most enjoyable?
Ceviche was good. There was a thing with a whole bunch of meat, different kinds of meats. It was very tasty. We liked that.
If I had to guess, I mean, like, did it had meat, French fries, and rice?
I had like heart, chicken hearts, cow hearts or something. Something like that. There was also, was it salchipapas, which is like hot dogs and chips.
Oh, yes.
Really
I know.
good.
I'm very familiar with salchipapas. If you ever go to Texas, around the Houston area, they actually have a really, really, really authentic Peruvian restaurant there that I go to. Absolutely. It's called Sur, which is SUR, which stands for South in Spanish. And incredible food, almost close as home. Like, every time I go and eat it over there, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm back in Peru again.
Nice. I might have to go visit that. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, so if you're ever in that area, like, definitely that's a hot spot to hit, most definitely. What I was gonna say is, like, I know you worked on these tracks, you did so much work. What is next for Barry? I mean, I know you did music, but I mean, I know you said you want to relax and everything like that, but I mean, are you, like, gonna wait for phone calls for people to call you, or, like, what's next for you in life now?
I really don't know. You never know what's coming the next day. That's one of the exciting things about being a composer. You never know what's going to come up. But, I mean, I know that this year, I don't have any huge events planned. I mean, there's always the possibility that they'll say, hey, you need to come to Brazil because Horizon Chase 2 is getting launched and stuff like that. So that might be on the cards. But I've got that that Encore 500, I'm going to do a remix of an old Amiga track. That's going to keep me busy
I
for
got
a
you.
couple of weeks at least. And I like that. I saw that question from someone there. If you were to die tomorrow, what would you do with the time you have left? I don't know. Go kick my feet up, have a break. Go hang with the wife for a bit.
I
It'd be
know.
great. It would be great to get to know when you're going to die, wouldn't it? I mean, it'd be nice so you could plan things around it.
And here he actually, Chax actually asks, what challenges have you faced in pursuing your career?
Shit, it's a constant set of challenges trying to be a composer. I don't think there's a harder job to make a living at in this world. I mean, it's so difficult to make money being a composer because nobody wants to pay for music. Nobody wants to. Everybody pirates the final product. I mean, we all do it ourselves. You're not going to go buy tons of albums and stuff these days. You just download your favorite tunes.
I mean, look at Spotify.
Yeah,
Your music is basically there now, and everybody, even myself. I mean, I kid you not. Like whenever I work, we have like opening things that we do, like to open up like the place. And I kid you not, I would actually wear my headphones and just listen to like your tracks, like all day while I'm basically opening up the shop.
yeah, and that's. I mean, I've had over 1 million plays on Spotify, which to me is mind blowing. Do you think if those million people all bought a CD? Oh my God, they could retire. It'd be
Well,
incredible. But they don't. People aren't going to buy CDs.
yeah, but I kid you not. My co-host, which sadly he couldn't be here today, he's a big fan of vinyl, and he loves collecting vinyl. I'm pretty sure, like he
I
would
got my
love.
Horizon Chase vinyl. The triple vinyl is huge.
He just loves, and the minute I mentioned to him that if you are, I mean, I don't know if you are you gonna be working on a vinyl for Horizon Chase 2?
I don't know. I haven't talked to the record company
Yeah.
yet. I mean, you look
Ooh.
at the size of this thing; it's massive.
Look at that,
What's
guys.
that?
That's just incredible. That's beautiful. Holy cow.
I love
That's
that. It's got so much. It's got all the tracks from Senna and stuff on it.
wow. That's incredible. You all the people that are actually watching this are seeing this, which is incredible. It's amazing. I
Yeah, I was
definitely.
very proud of that. I was very
Abs-
happy, and it's all what do you call it? Blue vinyl, sky blue.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And all the
Yeah,
people
but
are
it's
actually.
mind-boggling that people still listen to it.
No, absolutely. I mean, you'll be surprised how many people still have their vinyl records and they want to
Yeah,
listen to like
it's on
some
the
good old
inside
vinyl.
as well. You see that?
Yep.
Didn't even notice that before. It was
Oh wow.
on the inside. The
You,
hell? There's trees and stuff in there.
you gotta praise that artwork, man. Like they do. The people that made Horizon Chase and 2, they did really well with the art.
Yeah, the artwork's beautiful. And even the gameplay, the first game, you got to remember the first when I did Horizon Chase 1, I hadn't had the chance to play the game at all. I didn't get to see the game or any movement. I had like 2 or 3 still pictures. That's all I had, just a picture of a square car on a track. And I'm like, I wonder how it plays. These tunes. Hope the game plays well. But then it came out, and the gameplay's great. It's awesome.
Absolutely. So you never played Horizon Chase till recently and everything like that. Would you actually try to, like, if Horizon Chase 2 comes out and everything like that, would you actually consider, like, doing like a playthrough and everything like that of you playing the game itself?
I could do. Does anybody? I mean, I'm sure people watch. I know people watch these things. I just. It seems weird to me that people would watch me doing these things.
Hey, trust me, a lot of people would actually come watch you just so, like, that way, like, see, look at that. We already have Buddy Van Green saying, Barry, start a Twitch. We got people like, that you'll be surprised. I mean, some of the guests that we have here that come here, they actually, like, start streaming. Like, we have a voice actor from Call of Duty that didn't know what Twitch was a while back, and when we showed him, like, what it was about and everything, he started doing his YouTube channel, he started doing his Twitch channel. It was incredible. So nice. I mean, if he can do it, then you can do it, Barry. You can do it. Most definitely.
It's whether I want to or if I have the time.
Absolutely. I mean,
I'm pretty busy.
Yeah, but I'm excited, like, to everything coming coming your way. I mean, like, everybody's enjoying your games, and like I said, I mean, as soon as the console version is available for pre-order, I'll be one of the top 5 that gets a pre-order done.
Nice.
Just,
I actually have a development copy of the PC version that I
oh,
used when I was writing the game, working on the soundtrack. So
mm-hmm.
I've had the chance to play it a few times. It's very good. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, the colors of Horizon 2, like, they're way more vibrant, and
Yeah.
the movement for the cars and everything. It seems that they used like Unreal Engine, which is really incredible. Like, it looks like, like they really went in depth with it. But I love the fact that they still kept the nostalgic feeling of when you chase down a car and everything like that. If you bump them, you still get pushed back and everything, like kind of like the old school ones, kind of like Top Gear and everything, which I like the most. The only thing that really brought me down was the fact that they don't have the captions like that they had on the first one. Like when you hit somebody or when you hit your nitros, they don't have those captions anymore. So let's hope, like, they bring those captions back.
I don't know if they will. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I think the direction for the game was, I mean, you could be hyper realistic or hyper unrealistic, cartoony and stuff. And I think their goal was to be kind of right in the middle, between those things.
Mm-hmm. Man, I just love that because I mean it just makes the game more fun because I mean you see those captions, you're like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious, because I mean I like almost like I would say the same thing if I got like hit by a tree or something like that.
I tend to be a lot more colorful with the things I say.
If I have to be honest with you, I have not 100% Horizon Chase Turbo yet. I'm still working on it.
No,
It's
I
it's difficult.
70%. I finished all the races and stuff, and it's like, that's enough.
I'm trying my hardest to complete it 100%. I mean, I'm on the endurances right now. No, not endurance. I'm sorry. The last tournament, and then I have to do endurances as well. And then of course I have the Anton Senna DLC to try out. I have not tried it yet, and a lot of my friends actually told me like, hey, you should look at that on YouTube. I was like, don't show me anything. I don't want to see nothing. I want to see it myself for the first time.
There's some extra tunes in that as well.
Absolutely.
That was nice to do. I do like that they continually update the game, and we have to keep knocking out little bits of DLC. The summer vibes and was it the Duprati track, the Porto Alegre track? We did a specific tune for that.
Absolutely, man. It's incredible how they still reach out like, hey, we need you for this now. We need you for this one.
Yeah, it's nice that they're doing that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we have a question here from Splaticus saying, if you wanted to, what game series would you want to remake the music for, past and present? Ooh.
I think I'd like to do Red Alert.
Red Alert?
Yeah, I think I could do a good job of doing some tunes for that.
Ooh, that's from the past.
I like industrial music, so.
Mm-hmm. And what about the present?
I don't know. A Call of Duty game would be fun. I mean, that's all. It could be all orchestral and stuff. Some of the Batman games would be fun to do too. A first-person shooter, anything really. It's you get to be creative and just write whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. I mean, I always say like like my friend John here said on the chat. I mean, if you have something that you want to set your mind to, do it. Like, don't let nobody stop you. Like, just do it.
Well, then that ties in the first question there. What's your biggest failure, and what did you learn from the experience? Well, that was the very first video game soundtrack I got published when I was 15, because I wrote the soundtrack. It got published, and the magazine said, yeah, it was shit. And so that was it. My career was over at 15 years old. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to give this up yet. I know what I need to do to get there. And I was persistent. I didn't give up. I got another opportunity with my friends and had them write a music driver for me that made the world a difference, so I could create better music. So,
I mean, you always learn from your mistakes, and you only come back stronger. I always say that. You basically see like what things you made a mistake on, and you're like, okay, I'll learn from that and do better next time.
Yeah, completely.
So Eberu over here says that he loved Red Alert, Command and Conquer Red Alert.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'm a big fan of the Total Annihilation games. I really like them.
interesting.
Still play them all.
So you like games kind of like sites, like basically like clicking and basically taking over different places and everything, right?
Yeah, real-time strategy. Any real-time strategy game's good.
Now, back then, when you actually did music for League of Legends, did you try it out?
Well, you mean Gauntlet Legends?
Gauntlet Legends, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Because I was working at Atari and we were doing the arcade game. John Paul had done the music for the arcade game, and I had to convert it to the Nintendo 64. And then we all started doing Gauntlet Dark Legacy, the sequel. And so there was 4 or 5 composers at Atari. Me, John Paul, Don Deeknight, Mike Henry, and Joel Lyford.
Wow.
We all split up the work for Dark Legacy because it would have taken one guy about 3 or 4 years to write all the music. So we all just jumped into it and started writing tunes.
That's incredible.
Cranked it all out. The Fields of Fire,
Man.
Pirates guy, things like that.
Because I remember playing Gauntlet Legends in the arcade. Like I remember spending dollars and dollars and dollars in that game just because it was fun. It was incredible back then. And now we have League of Legends, which is basically like it almost looks like that, but I mean I'm like, dude, this is not the same. I'm sorry. I don't feel the same vibe as the old one. I'm sorry. And like games like
voice acting for that.
I'm sorry.
I think I did some voice acting for that.
Really?
Hang on, let me Google it. I have to read up.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, right.
Wow, that's incredible. So Chax here says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead."
I was just saying, I know I do little bits of voice acting from time to time.
Wow, that's actually incredible. So if we hear Barry, we're like, "Oh, we know it's him."
Yeah, there was a Ghost Pirates of Voodoo Island. There's a point and click adventure. It was what's his name? The same guy that did the old Day of the Tentacle and stuff. He was involved in that one.
Wow.
And I played the lead part of Blue Belly, the Scottish pirate.
Wow. All right. So Chax here says, "What has fundamentally changed about your work from when you started until now?"
Well, I think now you spend a lot more time just looking for the sounds, the right sounds for things. I mean, before you had to create your sounds, you were only as good as what you could make or the technical capabilities of your music driver or the things you could sample and stuff, synthesizers. Now you've got anything, absolutely anything, so you can get lost in the weeds a bit just trying to find the right bass sound for a track and stuff.
Oh, don't get me started with finding things because I have so many folders of so many different things that I lose track of where everything is.
Yeah, I've got 200 or 300 terabytes of storage here, so
From what I saw, on that interview that you had with this guy on YouTube, when you showcase your home and your studio and everything, my goodness, man, how do you manage that? Like all that equipment, like all those things, like it's.
Oh, I think I still had synthesizers back then, or a bunch of synthesizers. Everything's virtual now. Everything's done with virtual synthesizers. I use Renoise as my sequencer, which is a tracker. It's fantastic. It's really, really powerful and really fast for putting down ideas. I really like that.
Very, very great.
People ask, why don't you use Nuendo or Logic and stuff? It's like, well, because it'll take me like 10 times longer to put down my ideas. This way I can get work done quickly. Play some games.
Barry Van Greens here says, what DAW do you use now? I'm a fan of protocols, but I'd like to hear what you find most organic.
Renoise. Pro Tools is what he's talking about there, yeah. I have an Apple Macintosh in my garage from 20 years ago. It was a $10,000 Apple Macintosh. Power Mac 8100-100.
Wow.
$10,000, and it has Pro Tools and stuff, but it's just give me a tracker. I can write stuff a lot quicker.
So basically, like, we just send you a piece and you're like, okay, I'll do something with this.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It's a
incredible.
lot quicker to do it that way for me.
Gotcha. Um, Not right now, like, I know you have time off and everything like that. Do you plan any
Yeah.
trips, like, to like,
Well, I'm working today. After I do
Oh,
this, I'm going to go write some more tunes for some toy stuff. It's this Sunday as well. God, yesterday I was working as well. It's 7 days a week at the moment. I'm busy.
jeez. So
So it's
basically,
good.
you figured, like, why not take a little bit of time so that way, like, I get this interview done and then, like, get back to work.
Yeah,
So
yeah. This is a nice break for me to sit and talk to people.
it's like a scapegoat basically. That's how what I find streaming on. Like, when I stream myself, like, on Twitch and everything like that, it's like a scapegoat for me. It's
Mm.
like, escape from reality, escape, like, to my own little world. And that's how, like, I feel without when I do the podcast as well. I feel like, this is like, my my I call it my baby, just
Yeah.
because this is like, what I love doing. I love talking to people, interacting with people.
You got to think too. I spend all my time up here in the studio alone, and it's quiet or I'm making noise, and then I don't get to talk to people, and then so I get these interviews where I get to talk to people. It's like, oh, it's quite nice. Get to do regular things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always good to stay yourself busy instead of, like, not doing as much. I mean, stay always productive no matter what.
Hmm.
I always say that because, I mean, if you don't, it's almost like, keeping up with technology. If you don't keep up with it, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be wondering where everything is. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Constantly changing and improving.
they just announced recently that they had like the first flying car,
Yeah,
and that they're actually testing it. So I was like, oh boy, are we really getting that close to the future already? Like,
yeah. Until they get them completely controlled by computer, those things aren't gonna. You,
eh,
you couldn't have all of America have flying cars that weren't controlled by computer. It needs some centralized control system for it because I have little faith in my fellow Americans not to crash them. I mean, people flying into your house, cars dropping out the sky.
all right. So Chax here says, in your opinion, what is the most crucial personality trait, strength someone would need to work in your industry, be thriving in your job?
You'd be stubborn and not give up. Because, I mean, honestly, you'll sit down, you write your first piece of music, you give it to someone, and they're like, "Yeah, that's shit. I don't like it." You're like, "Ah, that's gonna happen again and again and again and again every time you write something until you start writing stuff that they want to hear or get better at your job. It's not for the faint of heart. You can't be thin-skinned in this job. Um, you're just gonna constantly be put down, beat down, and told to try harder. And at the same time, you're trying to make a living and raise a family and all that stuff.
Right. So I was gonna say, I know we mentioned like the future cars and everything like that. I always wondered, like, was there something happening with Top Gear 2 and 3000 back then that made you say, like, hey, I mean, I did Top Gear, but I did not want to do Top Gear 2 and 3000. Like, what, if you don't mind, if it's too personal, I understand,
No,
but I
no,
mean,
no. I changed jobs. I went to work for a different game company,
okay. And
and I was doing. So I went to Ocean Software, and then I did like Lethal Weapon and TFX Inferno. I mean, I was only at Ocean for a year, and then I went to Origin Systems in Texas. Worked on Wing Commander 3 and Privateer Righteous Fire. There was a Super Nintendo game, Ultima Savage Empire on or Ultima Savage Empire, which was, I think it was a Japanese only release on the Super Nintendo.
oh, okay.
I have one on my wall. I have a.
Now, when the two games come out and everything like that, did you still, like, listen to their music and see how they did and everything, or?
I didn't have a Super Nintendo.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, they were too expensive. I couldn't afford.
I
Video
mean,
games were expensive then.
oh, absolutely. I mean, you have one of those right now. Those things are mine
No,
right now. They're actually.
no. I have a Commodore 64 and I've got a Commodore Amiga in the garage.
Oh
I don't know
wow.
which, but That's about it. I don't have any consoles. I think I've got a Dreamcast somewhere because I bought a Dreamcast. And I might have a PlayStation 1 somewhere.
Oh wow, PlayStation 1, and now we all we have now is a Xbox and PlayStation and Switch, which is like the new Nintendo version. Which, I mean, back then, like, consoles were so simple but so difficult at the same time.
Yeah. It's impressive. But the technology, you squeeze as much technology as you could into the little boxes.
I was gonna make a joke and say, like, I know we mentioned flying cars earlier. Eventually, we're gonna be Top Gear 3000. I mean, we're gonna be flying cars everywhere into space.
And then there was Top Gear Rally, wasn't there? And which I got to work on the Nintendo 64.
I bet you were excited to work on that.
Yeah, it was actually. It was kind of fun, and I wanted to continue the music on from where I'd left off, but I got a lot of pushback from the guys in the company. They wanted something different, so I think the James Bond game had come out at the time, and it was kind of grand with the orchestra and piano stuff, and so I was like, maybe I'll do a piano piece for the title thing, something kind of rock piano.
That's incredible.
And then they all hated it. And then when they went to release the Japanese version, they're like, yeah, we need a faster title tune. We don't want this slow piano piece.
Now, how was doing music for Rush?
That was kind of fun. I mean, you know what's interesting is if you listen to like Top Gear Rally, and then after that, I worked on Twisted Edge Snowboarding, but they didn't like the soundtrack that I wrote, and so it got rejected. And in fact, I wrote 2 soundtracks for Twisted Edge Snowboarding. Both of them I put on my Bandcamp page, so you can go and listen to them there. But the music is exactly halfway between Top Gear Rally and Rush 2, because it was written between those two. And so stylistically, it bridges that change. It was interesting for me to listen to it because I didn't realize quite how similar and obvious it was in style. That it was bridging the gap between the two games. Because Rush 2 and Rush 2049, they were more just kind of drums and bass. They were getting... I was trying to go more minimalistic after putting so much into the, Top Gear Rally and stuff. Putting in guitars and arpeggios and stuff. And it's like, let's dial it back a bit in the other direction. Yeah, it feels... And I think people quite liked it. People thought it was really kind of groovy.
I got you.
I don't know. Did you ever play those two?
I played a little bit of Rush, but it was actually on the wheel, like on the arcade.
Yeah, arcade,
yeah. I played.
That was Mike Henry. He did all those tunes.
I played that in that, and the one racing game I played on Nintendo 64 was Cruising USA. I played that a lot, back then. Of course, GoldenEye. I mean, who didn't play GoldenEye?
Yeah.
So, those are most of the games I played on. But I mean, I saw Top Gear Rally, when I was glancing and everything. But I was like, well, I played 2, I played 3000. I mean, after a while, when you have so many sequels of a game, you start getting a little fatigued. Kind of like Call of Duty, every year coming out and everything like that. You start getting the term is not boring, but it's just it starts getting repetitive over and over again. It's like, okay, this is and then eventually once you get something new, like I said with Horizon, when I played it, I was like, okay, this is something new for me, because I mean, I was always into the FPS, and when I played that, it just hit me. I was like, dude, I need to start playing retro games again. That's when I started saying I need to go back to my roots. I need to go back to what I enjoyed the most. Yeah. So. Yeah,
makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you had a long enough break where it became new and interesting again.
When you have enough break like that, you start getting interested on the genre of the game that you're playing, and you start loving the music. The music gets into you, it gets in your head. I mean, all those songs are stuck in my head now. They really are. And I have a few people that came in to watch on Wednesday, and they're like, dude, I can't get track number 4 out of my head. I can't get this track out of my head. I'm like, well, dude, I'm glad that you actually enjoying the music. And people love simple stuff like that. Like they don't. I mean, some people might like the the new tunes and everything like that, but the retro tunes is what really gets to me. It gets engraved in my heart a lot.
I think you've just been exposed to them too much. I would love to go back and put more tunes into Top Gear. I mean, it was just, I don't know, there just wasn't enough music in it. It was one of those games where you could play again and again and again, and you don't want to turn the sound down because you can hear the engines. And
Well, Top Gear was basically just 8 bits basically. All you hear is the tire screech, the noises when you hit things, and I think that's it, right? And then the music.
Yeah, isn't there? There is engine sounds, isn't there?
There is, but I mean, it's fainted. It's not as in depth as Horizon was. And mostly, I mostly was there for the music because the music was and still is always catchy every time I hear it.
Yeah, I think as a composer, it's fantastic because you've got a captive audience. Writing for video games. It's great because people are going to listen to these tunes again and again and again. You can't ask for anything better than that.
Absolutely. I mean, I've gone to something called Video Games Live here in the States. I gotta say, that's always fun to go to. Just because you hear the music of the games that you like, but it's actually bands that's playing that, like orchestras.
Yeah, I did an arrangement with them. I went to Brazil with them to do the Top Gear and Horizon Chase medley. I arranged a medley for Video Games Live, and we went and performed the world premiere in Rio de Janeiro.
I bet that was packed.
Yeah, it was extremely cool. It was insanely.
And from what I saw, you broke your stick.
Oh, no, that was Peru when I was.
Oh, yeah.
I screwed up, and whatever happened, the baton just broke at the end of it. It was wow.
Oh.
One and done.
Hey, I mean, we all experience things like that. I mean, for us streamers, what happens is we're excited to stream and everything like that, and then all of a sudden our mics are not on, and they're like, "Hey, you're talking, but we can't hear you." It's just little things like that that makes it fun because they're like, "Oh, my bad, I didn't have it on," or "Oh, I forgot this, I'm sorry." But thank you again, Barry, for the awesome talk today. It was great. I know you're a busy person now because you're about to go back to get your things situated. I want to thank everybody that came out today to see Barry actually in camera, for the first time here in the Reef Podcast. And I want to thank everybody that came out today to talk, ask questions. And is there any last words that you want to say to the people watching?
Thanks for listening. Thanks for enjoying the soundtracks. Buy some CDs. Buy Horizon Chase 2 CDs.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I'll follow up with the turbo version.
Oh man, I'm excited for that. Like I said, as soon as I see that pre-order, I'm clicking as fast as I can. I need to pre-order that.
I might do some special tracks for the CDs.
Oh my gosh. Now you're making me want to actually open my piggy bank and be like, hey, let's get some money out there and get that CD. But thank you again, Barry, for being an awesome composer. You're amazing.
Thanks for having me. Glad you enjoyed the tunes.
And for those of you that are here, if still here, thank you again for being amazing people and tuning in today. It was a fun podcast that we had with Barry today. If you have not gone to see Barry's website, please go to barryleitch.com. Is it Leitch or how do you pronounce that, if you don't mind me asking?
Leitch.
Okay, so you can go to barryleitch.com, check out his website, buy some CDs when you get a chance. And if you see him, at a panel or anything like that in the future, or you see him walking around, just be like, hey, I got your CD. And they can get it signed too, right?
Yeah. If you order a CD, I'll sign it before I post it. And you can always catch me on Facebook and stuff. Send me a message there.
Awesome.
I'll always respond if I'm awake.
If you're not busy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for the awesome podcast. I will be back in 2 weeks with our anniversary podcast because, believe it or not, Barry, the Reef Podcast is about to make 3 years in 2 weeks.
Wow. They've been doing one podcast every week for 3 years.
Well, basically, we took a break the last couple of months that's because we wanted to like figure out like what we wanted to do and everything. But the podcast has been alive for almost 3 years on Spotify and YouTube.
Wow.
And
cool.
we're excited to like share our 3-year anniversary. And like I said, I mean, we always thank everybody that comes through and hangs out with us, talk with us. And now that we have you guys in camera, I mean, it's even greater because they're like, oh look, it's the person that did the music for Top Gear, or it's like so and so. So it's great to actually be on actual flesh and bone.
Good.
Yep.
Very good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll be back in 2 weeks. So thank you for coming. We'll see y'all soon.